Okay, well, we'll get started, and whoever else wants to join, they can just kind of pop in. Just to introduce myself, my name is Melissa Sund. I work at Total Education Solutions in the Michigan branch. I am a BCBA, so Board Certified Behavior Analyst, and I've been a BCBA for 3 years. Been working in the field of behavior analysis and behavior therapy since about 2014, so very passionate about it, and I love that I get the opportunity to do this live today. I think this is really great. So just kind of to start off, I know it was put out that if you had any questions to message, and so many of you had questions and so many of you messaged, so I love that. So I'm going to answer as many of those questions as I possibly can now. Feel free to comment during if you have any questions about the answers I'm giving. And at the end, I'll also open it up. So if you do have questions, you can save it for the end, and I will be answering some of your questions live as well. Just to start out, kind of what I'm here to do is answer those questions, but just so you know, I'll be giving general tips and giving general answers to these questions just because I can't give very specific information unless I know children personally. So if you do have more specific questions about your child, feel free to reach out. You can message this Instagram account or send an email, and I will be able to get back to you. So the first question I had that was sent in is, frankly, just what do behavior therapists do? Great starting question. So myself as a BCBA, what I do is I start with the assessment of the child. So first, when you're first getting involved with behavior therapy, there is an assessment process. So what I do is run an assessment with your child, ask questions, and once I kind of go through all of those results, I see the strengths and the weaknesses and what the child may need to work on and what parents are concerned about, and I create goals from that. And those are the goals we would be working on in therapy. So most of the time I see that I want my child to be able to increase these skills, and I want to work on this problem behavior. So I would be coming up with the goals for those children. Another question I got is, what does it look like? So that's, a great question to lead into. So behavior therapy, when you first get started, your child would be working one-on-one with what we call a behavior technician. So they would be working with that technician on whatever goals we talked about, your child needing specifically. And then I, as the supervisor, would be monitoring that and supervising that, as well as providing parent training. And that parent training would be just making sure that everything we're working on in therapy translates to the home, and you can do as well. Because if you can't do it at home, then it's not really going to be meaningful for you and the family. I got another question, which is really great. So what should parents look for in a behavior therapist? So when you're looking for a behavior therapist, if you're new to this or you're seeking out, maybe I should involve my child, or maybe this is something I'm interested in. When you're first looking for a behavior therapist, you might try to find someone that has experience in working with your child, whether it's your child is very young and 2 years old and just coming into this, maybe you're interested in someone that's worked with that population before. Or if your child is a little bit older, maybe your child's an adolescent or an adult, you might want to seek out a behavior therapist that has experience in that. Everyone has varying levels of experience. Some clinics or some agencies only work with early intervention, and some work with 2 to however old. TESS is really unique because we get kids that are just starting at 1.5, 2 years old, all the way up until 30. So that's one great thing about TESS as a company. And a lot of our behavior therapists, like myself, do work with a lot of different ages and a lot of different types of children, whether they have severe problem behavior or you're just looking to help with skill acquisition. Another question I got was, how do you know when your child's behaviors warrant therapy? So that's a tough one. I think a lot of parents do really wonder, should I be looking for behavior therapy? Do my child's behaviors warrant this? Am I just thinking that they're worse than they are. So a lot of parents have asked me this question that I've worked with, and really what I say is trust your gut. As a parent, you really know your child and really know what you as a parent can handle. And if you are thinking, I need some help, this might be something for me, definitely trust your gut. And that's what we're here for. We are here to help in those situations. We are here for all types of behavior, whether it's severe problem behavior and aggression, or maybe your child just has motivation issues and you would like some help with that. Therapy and behavior therapy is all about individualizing for your child. So we're not going to prescribe the same thing, the same type of therapy for every single child we get. We're going to really look at your child's strengths and what you'd like to help with them improve, and we're going to tailor our treatment in that way. A lot of people also asked, when should I start behavior therapy if I'm interested in it? And the easy answer for that is as soon as possible, especially if your child is young. The data has shown that early intervention is very effective. So if your child is 2 and you're seeing the core symptoms of autism, or if you're just seeing some behavior issues, or they need help with their speech, or they need help with different areas, getting treatment for them as soon as possible in any area is really the best course of action, especially with ABA. But if your child is a little bit older and you're able to manage and they've been doing well, and then all of a sudden hit a roadblock for some reason, and you think, wow, this could really be helpful to me, get them in. I would encourage you to really seek out resources and get the help you need sooner rather than later, because the longer the child is in the therapy and the sooner they get it, the better outcomes they'll usually have. Someone asked a specific question. So do reward or behavior charts work? And if so, the best way to implement them? So that's a really great question. So for those of you that aren't familiar with what reward or behavior charts are, it would just be kind of rewarding or giving certain tokens or stickers, something to reward good behavior and not the negative behaviors. So in terms of do they work, they work for certain kids. Like I said, everyone's individualized. Everyone is an individual. So what might work for some kids might not work for other kids. But if you're wanting to do this at home, it might work for your child if they're socially motivated, so they really like that praise and they really like you telling them that they did a great job. Or it might work for some of the kids that are really motivated for certain items. So if your child is motivated for ice cream, it's their favorite thing, or iPad time, 10 minutes on that iPad and they will work for it. Behavior charts might actually be really great for them. And what that is basically just giving, whether it's, like I said, stickers or tokens or check marks when they do certain things or behave in a certain way throughout the day, whether it's I screamed 0 times in a day, I get a check mark, or I completed my chores and every chore they get a sticker, and then once I have a certain amount, I get this. So that's kind of what they are, but the best way to implement them really would be to make sure that you're giving clear contingencies and making sure that you're very transparent. So telling them, if you do scream, you're not going to get the sticker. And if they scream once, making sure you really don't provide the sticker, because if the child thinks that it's not clear, or sometimes you do it and sometimes you don't, then it's really going to be hard to keep running this with fidelity. Another big thing is just making sure when you do this, make it motivating, make it fun for the kid, make it so they want to earn something. So if you are giving stickers and they need to earn 10 stickers before they get the thing, make sure the stickers you're giving them are really fun. If they love Power Rangers, super cool Power Ranger stickers. Just using those as a motivation before they get the item that they are really working for. And that will hopefully keep that a little bit more fun and a little bit more salient for the child. Yes, clear expectations are very important. I got another question. So how can you balance structure during this time without losing your mind? So I thought this was really honest. And let's be real. Everyone here is having a hard time right now in quarantine. You know, whether you have one child, two child, no children, it's a hard time right now. So I thought this was a really great question. So really it is difficult during this time, and the best way to do this is really to make sure you're taking time to establish a new structured routine for your child. I know it's hard when a lot of people are still working from home, but even if it's just a couple things that you are bringing into a new routine. It doesn't have to be, a whole chart. You see people making these big charts online, and that's great if it works for them and their family, but not everyone's life is like that, and it's really hard when your routine or what you have to do at home is different every day. So even if you just pick a couple things that you do the same each day or each week. So for example, every single day lunch is at noon, and after lunch at 12:30, every single day we do math. Just making sure your child understands this, and the more you do it and the more consistent it is, the more it will get into their routine. They'll establish new routines if they haven't already. Or every single Friday at 7 p.m., we're going to do a family game night or watch a movie, and maybe you can even build in the behavior chart we were talking about. So if I get a certain amount of stars on Friday at 7, I get to pick the movie. You get to pick your favorite movie. You get to pick the snack we want to watch or the snack you want to eat and the movie you want to watch. So that could be a really fun way to do that. I also got another question kind of close to that. So for parents working at home right now, how can you balance your child's needs? And how can you explain to them that, parents have to work too? So this is a great question. Like I said, right now it's crazy. Everyone's schedule is different. Parents might have to work at different times. I've been reading how your usual 9 to 5 might really look more like an 8 to 7 because of all the breaks you have to take in between, or all of the different things you have to do, or helping your children because they're home and you're home. And you don't want to take that time if your child needs you. But a really great way to do this is kind of what I've been saying already, just be transparent with your kids. Let them know, mom has to work too. And there's different ways to do this, whether it's kind of signaling when you're available and when you're not. We've done this before, even with colors, like when I have my green sign on the door, mom's available, or I'll come and hang out with you, or, you and dad can watch a movie together. But if, the red sign's on the door, I'm not available because I have to do work, and just really explaining that to them. And that could be a helpful tool if you'd like to use that. Another thing you could do is just coming up with a schedule. So like I said before, every single day from this time to this time, I'll be working, and you'll be doing your reading work, independent reading work, or you'll be doing a puzzle. You can also try to make it fun and making sure they might enjoy some of the things while you're working. So if you do need to take that Zoom meeting at 1 o'clock, maybe giving that 1 o'clock time to have them do something fun, like a puzzle, or a worksheet that they really like to do, or mazes, whatever they're interested in that's still, kind of academic. Or if they're done with their schoolwork for that day, maybe they get to pick a video. And just making sure you give a lot of reinforcing statements to them. So if they do let you work, saying like, wow, that was so great that you worked on that on your own. I'm very proud of you. Just making time for them as well. And when you do have those breaks, if they would like to sit with you or talk with you, trying to give them that time as well. I also got a question, how can you manage or address disruptive behavior at this time? So this whole thing, staying home, this has been a big adjustment for everyone. Us as adults, for me, definitely. From working from home, not seeing the people I'm used to seeing. So for us, it's hard, but just for the kids, it's especially hard. Whether or not they are in special education, this is hard for all kids. So if a lot of problem behavior does come about, or there's disruptive behavior at home, just really knowing how to handle it, do the best you can. I mean, Nothing's going to be solved overnight, but really just trying to do the best you can as a parent and remembering to stay consistent and set expectations beforehand. And like I said before, really try to reinforce those good times. Really try to give praise during the times your child is being very attentive and doing their work and having good moments, because the more you reinforce and praise that, usually less problem behavior does follow. And if they do engage in that disruptive behavior, really explaining what is happening with them, why this is happening, and being consistent with what you're going to say that you're going to do, really have follow through. But like I said, tried to give more of that reinforcing praise, because if the only time you're paying attention to them is when you're punishing them, who knows, it may actually make, the behaviors go up, increase, because they might want some of that attention, especially at home if you are working. So just try to give as much attention as you can for the good behavior and not for when they are engaging in disruptive behavior. And then I did get asked for some strategies for families with siblings and dealing with being in close proximity 24/7. So this is something that I really had to think about and think, okay, what can we do? The really great thing about siblings is you do have kind of a built-in friend to play with. And if you are looking to try to help with your child's social skills, this is a really great time to do so. So maybe finding some time in which you can create a structured game with your child and their siblings, playing a board game as a family, having one sibling pick a movie night and then another sibling pick their movie, or you can have them imaginative play together. So really trying to find those times in which they can bond and engage in that social interaction, because that's really good for all kids, especially when they're away from school, they're away from their friends. They can really work on this together. And when they do need time apart, just making sure you can remind them that they can ask for breaks. They can go to their room. They can do something on their own. They can have iPad time on their own. They can go to their room and read a book without the other sibling being there. And one really important thing is, if you have a lot of children, usually, even if they're around the same age, you see this a lot with kids around the same age, just really trying to give individual attention to all of your kids. This can be as simple as on Friday night from 7 to 8, I'm going to do this one activity with Susie, and then from 8 to 9, I'm going to do an activity with Brittany. So really trying to make sure that they feel like they have your attention, as well as trying to make the other siblings in the house view every other sibling in a good light and really positive. So that could be really helpful as well. So those were some of the questions that I got, and I hope those answers were helpful, and I hope I gave some helpful tips. If anyone has any questions about what I talked about or has any questions of their own, please put it in the comments and I can kind of speak to those a little bit. Ooh, okay, I did get a question. What advice, tips would you provide to parents who may have seen an increase in behaviors during the pandemic? So this is very common, especially for those kids that may not understand what coronavirus is or why they have to be in home for this long time. Some of the kids that I've, had, or parents I've talked to have said, like, they just want to go outside. They want to go on the playground, but everything's closed. We go to this place every single week, and now they can't go, and they don't understand why. So one tool you can use are just visuals, or if you've heard of these or familiar with these, social stories. And you can find these online, or you can just make them yourself. But basically, they're just short little stories to show, and with pictures to show, why this is happening. This is what coronavirus is. I've had a parent use a social story to explain This is what it is. It means people get sick. This is why we wash our hands. This is why we can't go to places. To help explain and give those visuals to children. If you do see that their behaviors are increasing, just trying to be really consistent, like I said, in your expectations for them. Try to find new things you could do. So if they really like to go on the park and climb on all of the jungle gym equipment, but that's gone, maybe trying to find an alternative. Like maybe instead of going to the gym, you can find someone, or if you have a mini trampoline, they can jump on that or do fun exercises to music to kind of try to get that energy out like what they would do at their favorite places. Like I said, I really want to try to create positive experiences for them during this time. Instead of everything is, no, we can't do this, we can't do this, we can't do this, giving alternatives. No, we can't go to this store right now, but instead we can order takein and we can get pizza here instead of going to the store to get pizza. So hopefully by doing these things and giving alternatives and giving choices to them, we might be able to see some of that behavior decrease. Does anyone else have any other questions? You can drop it in the comment or you can drop it in the question box. Everyone's saying thank you guys for taking your time out of your afternoon/evening to come and listen to me talk.